Hello, everybody. This is Brad Reed. I am a real life trader, and I'm here reminding you to be good. And by good, I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. This is video 10 of the Financial Fundamentals series. I encourage you to watch all the videos as they do build on top of each other, one after the other. But this one is dedicated to investing for your kids' college, or rather planning for the college costs that is inevitably coming up for hopefully many of our youngsters. Before I get into much, the really expensive lawyers out in California want me to remind you that this webinar and this webinar series and videos are for a broad-based entertainment and education. Should you need any individualized and specific advice, you need to seek a competent licensed professional in your area. The takeaway from the entire series is one of the big ones is to make all financial decisions together. Again, this is a great way to strengthen the bond between you and your spouse or you and your loved one. Make these decisions together because if one person makes them and then tries to force them onto another, that is about how 50% of divorces happen. Success equals opportunity plus preparedness. If you are prepared, then you can take advantage of the opportunity and be successful. If you are not prepared, opportunities will pass you by and you will be unable to take advantage of them. A big part of being prepared is having a plan. If you are a real life trader, you have a plan for every single stock trade. Most people plan for vacations. Most people even have a plan for when they go to the grocery store. And so you definitely need to have a plan for each paycheck. You need to have a plan for retirement, and you need to have a plan for your kids to go to college because they probably won't start forming their plan until it is way too late on how to afford the incredibly rapid rising costs of college. Another takeaway of the Financial Fundamentals series is to spend less than you earn. If you want to be financially successful, you must spend less than you earn. That's how rich people did it. No one became financially successful by spending more than they brought in. And retirement is a dollar number. It is not an age. It is not a year. You can retire at any time you are spending less than your money grows after inflation. So you either need to become a very savvy investor, or you need to keep working until you have enough money, enough savings that growth is faster than you can spend it. And once you can do that, you are able to retire. All right, so here are the financial fundamentals. We are in the winning stage. Again, the first 3 videos are about preparation. They're just concepts. They are education. They are present a different point of view on how to look at money and how to use money. And then the pregame are 3 relatively quick, tangible things that you need to go get, go do, go fix. And then the winning part is when you're actually working your way out of debt, building that financial stability that you will need to become financially successful. And of course, for many of us, retirement is our ultimate goal. And then victory down there at the very bottom, that's what we'll talk about next week, are the final objectives. A few more concepts of understanding on how to be successful with big money, and then how to finish off and really polish off your financial foundation. All right, you can get all this stuff for free at www.reallifetrading.com. You can get free stock reviews and specific trade setups that many of us are doing with our real money. You can get an education on how to trade stocks and options. Whether you are a beginner or seasoned pro, there's something in there for you. Whether you want to be a long-term investor or if you want to day trade stocks and options, all the education is there and it's all free. There's also tons of articles and videos, much like this one that you're watching, on how to choose a financial advisor. And one of the most popular articles is how to retire on $3,000. Lots of future videos coming, so keep checking back as we add more videos and more articles. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about why is it important to invest for your retirement before children's college. I know some people do it the other way around, and I think that's a big mistake, and I'll talk about why. Then we'll talk about why college loans are completely gosh awful, and you want to avoid them at all costs. Not all costs. You don't want to sacrifice your retirement to invest for your kids' college, but that's coming up. 3 ways to invest for college, and then also tips and tricks to reduce the college costs? And we'll talk about your financial mission. Well, if you first of all, you want to plan for your retirement. You need to ensure your retirement needs are on schedule before investing for children's college costs. And then, of course, there's the calculator that we talked about in the last video. And let me reiterate what I'm saying here. You need to make sure that you are contributing enough to fund your retirement. You don't have to have your retirement completely funded before you start investing for your kids' college. I'm saying you need to understand what rate of return you need to hit, how much you need to put in each monthly to hit your retirement goals. And if you are putting in enough money to hit your retirement goals and then there's some left over after you have completed your budget, then that next pile that we put the money towards is your children's college costs. But it is absolutely crucial that you have your retirement needs at least on schedule to be funded before you invest towards your kids' college costs. 85% of Americans reach retirement age. Only 66% of high school graduates ever enter college, and only 47% of those that enter college ever graduate. So basically, we're talking about a 1 in 3 chance that your kid graduates college. And I know probably most of the people that are watching this video are thinking, oh, my kid's going to college and he or she's going to graduate, or there will be hell to pay, blah, blah, blah. I know that, but things happen, okay? Retirement is a dream every single one of us have. What if your kid is an incredible athlete and they choose to go to college once their athletic career is over, or they become a famous musician, or there's a million different things that could happen. Some are good, some are not good, but that would cause your child not to finish graduating college, but you still need your retirement there. And I know what some people do is when it comes time for their kid to graduate college, they take a second mortgage out on the house. And then some of those people have to explain to Junior, hey, I'm sorry we lost our house because we tried to pay for your college, which you were unsuccessful at, and it just becomes a big mess. And, you know, if you think about when you first graduated college, wasn't there enough pressure on you facing real life and to figure out how to pay your rent and all your utility bills and to find transportation? And there's a lot of pressure there to get started and to be successful and a lot of new challenges. How about adding on to that, oh yeah, mom and dad sacrificed their retirement for me, so now I have to fund their retirement too. So go easy on your kids. Take care of your own retirement, and then if there's money to put towards their college costs, then take care of that. If you are Muslim, Jewish, or Christian, there is a section of the Bible called Proverbs. I'm Christian, so I call it a Bible. But there's a proverb in there that says the borrower is slave to the lender. And there's many, many verses about why you should get out of debt, stay out of debt, never go into debt. There's also a lot about why you should build up enough wealth that you can leave an inheritance to your kids. Now, one thing I'll reiterate is that debt is the opposite of freedom, right? The borrower is slave to the lender. If a child wants to or needs to drop out of college, like I said, for a sports career, maybe their band was going to get a contract from, I don't know, Blue Metallic Entertainment, and Elliot Kahn of Green Day was going to be their manager. Yeah, that was me. But I had a significant amount of debt, and so I could not. I couldn't take the contract because I had to pay my debts. But again, it was that I was not prepared, so when that opportunity came, I was not able to be successful. So if you can, you know, take care of your kids' college, but first you got to take care of your retirement. So get your retirement funding on schedule, then attack your children's college. And here's some scary statistics. For the last 25 years, college costs have doubled the rate of inflation. So in 1998, a starting salary for a college graduate about double what they paid for a 4-year degree. And down at the bottom, I explained that by total cost of a 4-year degree, based on the source that I got this information from, it's based on the average in-state tuition living on campus, eating through the dorm meal program, plus books and materials. Okay, so that's what is considered the total cost of a 4-year degree. And in 1998, starting salary of graduates was about double that cost. In 2013, it completely flipped around, and the starting salary was about half of the total cost. So in 1998, I graduated from business school. I got an MBA, and my starting salary was in the 50s, and the debt that I owed was a little under 20 grand, thanks to my parents taking care of my undergraduate. But everything together was a little bit under 30, and my starting salary was in the 50s. That was in 1998. College kids that I talk to now, they're racking up $80,000 to $100,000 in student loans, and the high end of the starting salaries are in the high 50s and low 60s. So that whole thing about getting a college loan and being able to pay it off in a short amount of time has completely gone out the window. And one thing that I want to challenge that whole system, if I ever get the opportunity, is who's at fault? You know, who tells an 18-year-old child, yes, you should go get that degree and you should pay that much money for it, because somewhere between the bank that lends the money, somewhere in the college, there's an advisor that knows that if you go and you spend $80,000 to $100,000 to $160,000 on an English degree or a social work degree or a teaching certificate education, that you're not going to be able to pay back the $160,000 or $100,000 or $20,000 loans. And I have a hard time thinking it's the 18-year-old's fault, because heck, the 18-year-old just got out of high school. They know really nothing about the real world. They know nothing about advancing through the corporate degrees or running their own business. At any rate, I'll leave that out there for you guys to decide. But the point is that getting a loan these days is nowhere near, well, I was going to say near the advantage. It was not advantageous in the late 90s to get a loan, and it is really, really, I'm just going to say it, it's a dumb decision to take out a loan for a college degree. I know a lot of people say education is the one thing that's worth the money, but I'm going to counter that and say if you get a loan for your education, you can't really sell your education and get the loan back. Yeah, you can get a job, you can work, but 47% of college students never graduate is a statistic here. And in 2014, 52% of those that did graduate couldn't reach employment. They couldn't get a job. So imagine if you went through all your college, you graduated, now you're getting ready to pay off this student loan, and you are hoping for a starting salary that's about half of what you owe, but 1 out of 2 kids in that situation don't get a job at all. But yet, in 6 months, they're going to have to start making payments on that student loan, whether they have a job or not. The average age to pay off student loans now is age 42. Imagine that, 20 years in debt. Student loans are not bankruptable. I know I haven't talked to, but I've heard stories from students that the parents got sick, so they dropped out of school to take care of the parents or to work, at the family business or to do whatever to support the family, thinking they just filed bankruptcy to take care of the student loans. Yeah, that doesn't happen. The government still is going to come get their money, even if you file bankruptcy. Senior citizens owe $36 billion with the B in student loans. And guess what? If they're not paying their student loan payments, then their Social Security gets garnished. If you take out a student loan, it's about like not paying the IRS your taxes. Okay, the government is going to get their money. They will force it out of you. Student loans are a rough thing to borrow money for. And there's one other thing that I have run into, people that I have talked to, is doctors or lawyers that took out $200,000 in student loans, and then they never finished their degree, or they finished their degree but they didn't pass the bar, or they didn't finish their medical exam, so they couldn't practice. So they come out of all of this education, they have $200,000 in student loans, and they have no way to go get a super duper high paying job. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to fight off the government their whole entire life. I've also heard stories of people that want to be stay at home parents. And I'm a stay at home dad. I love my job. I think is one of the most admirable things you can do for your child and your children. Uh, but if you racked up 80 to 100 to 160,000 or $200,000 worth of student loans because you wanted to be a doctor for 2 or 3 years before you became stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, that math does not add up. Okay, so be sure that whatever your long-term goals are, they meet with your educational goals. And just flat out, it is mathematically better to work part-time or full-time through college and take an extra 1, 2, 3, or even 4 years to graduate. Because if you take out a huge loan, 4 years later, you will still have a huge loan and you may or may not be employed. If you work through college and you come out debt free, talk about freedom. And isn't that what every college graduate wants? Isn't that what they're yearning for, is freedom? So why take on this huge, gigantic loan that so incredibly limits your freedom? What if you get offered this crazy, awesome job you could only dream about, but it just doesn't pay very much? Well, I know a lot of people, and I've been in that place myself, where you were forced to take a job that maybe you had less of an interest in because it paid more. Debt is the opposite of freedom. If you want to be free, you got to stay out of debt. And yes, college costs are incredibly expensive, but there are ways to get through school without going into massive amounts of debt. And we're going to talk about that. If you are a current college student or going to be a college student soon, right now this is more focused on the parents of the kids that are tackling school. But lesson number one, retirement. Your retirement is top priority. If there's money left over in your family's budget after you have funded retirement, or after you've made your monthly retirement payment, then start focusing on kid college. All right, 3 ways to save. Number one is an ESA or an educational savings account. There's a limitation on how much money you can make in order to qualify for this. You are also limited on annual contribution. And if you can use the money tax-free if it's used for higher education and a few other things. Now, I'm really vague here because this stuff changes every single year. I believe in it can also change from state to state. So don't hold me on this, but here's a few examples. If your family makes 120 or 100, or let's just get crazy. If your family makes $250,000, I'm pretty sure you don't qualify for an ESA. But maybe your family makes $80,000 and you do qualify. Well, you can put $2,000 in each year, and if that grows at 10% or whatever, after 18 years, you've put in $36,000, but the money has grown to about $120,000, $140,000. Now, if you spend that money on higher education, it's tax-free. Okay, tax-free. That's like getting a 25% automatic boost on your money. That's huge. So take advantage of that if you can. Now, eligible expenses, of course, will vary year to year, place to place. So talk to a tax professional or maybe a financial advisor can help you with that. But obviously, tuition should be in there. Books should be in there. Maybe even, I believe many types of rent are in there. And if you graduate and you still have money left over, I believe you can make it on the down payment of your first house. So how cool would that be to have a huge college account, and not only can you fund your college, but you can make a big down payment on your first house. So a great advantage for your kids in these ESAs. And again, on all those benefits on what the money can be used for tax-free, I'm not sure on that. Okay, so just taking wild guesses and a little bit covering my own assets there. Another type of college savings plan is called a 529. You are extremely limited on the investment choices, and you can only change the investments once per year. So if you're a real life trader, you've probably set up some signals on when you're bearish and when you're bullish, and you want to be able to go back and forth. You cannot do that in a 529. However, the money is also tax-free. if it's used for the higher education and plus some of those extra things that I just talked about. Basically, the difference is if you have a little bit of the lower income, the median income, then the ESA works out better for you. If you are on the higher side of income or think you will become, you need a 529. Of course, you can also just have your brokerage account or your trading account. You can learn to trade for free at reallifetrading.com. You can sign up for the day trading rooms and the swing trading rooms where, in the day trading room, I think I know we're over 150% rate of return since February, and this is early November. Actually, it's Veterans Day. Hey, so thank you to all the veterans who have served or are serving, the families of veterans, police, fire, medical, emergency people. Thank you guys and gals for everything that you do for our country. We appreciate it very, very much. All right. In the brokerage and trading account, you do have to pay the taxes, and so that can be significant based on whatever the tax laws are in 18 years, because right now they can be pretty brutal. Well, I had a calculator for retirement. You know I'm going to have a calculator for college costs too, right? Let's go take a look. So we come over here, and well, you can click on that article if it's there on top. Otherwise, you need to type in reallifetrading.com/articles/college cost calculator, which is this one down here. reallifetrading.com/articles/college-cost-calculator. I'll also put that link in the description box of the, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a little description or information box below the video, and I'll put it there. And if you scroll down, you can put how old is your child now, what age will your child start college, how much do you currently have saved for the child's college, how many years will your child attend college. You know, if you think your 1-year-old is going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you might want to put 7 or 8 years in there. And then you can make a few calls or go to a few websites and find out what is the current cost of 1 year of college costs. And be sure you get not just tuition, but you get tuition, books, room, board, the fixings, the total cost, everything that you should budget for 1 year of college cost. Then you need to find out how fast is the rate of college costs increasing. Now, the sources that I have researched, most of them come in between 6 to 8%. More of them towards 8%. I have 6% as a default here, but if you want to change it, you just change that to 8. If your child is, oh, that jumped around. If your child is maybe 5 years old, and maybe say you have $10,000 saved, I don't know. That is weird. What is that doing? 5 there. There we go. Nothing like your own calculator not working when you're live on the webinar, huh? But it looks like all this stuff is working now. It'll calculate how much the total college cost will be. Notice if my child is 5 years old, her name is Isabella, and I'm not sure how much we have in a college account, but let's say it's 10 grand. The point is, Isabella is looking at $320,000 for a 4-year degree. For a 4-year degree at a public in-state school living on campus. It's crazy how expensive the college costs are going to be for our kids. Ethan is 2 years old, and he's looking at $407,000. Okay, now that's at 8%. Maybe it slows down to 6%, which is a whole lot better. And then he'd only need $280,000. And if I put that back to 5, Izzy will need $240,000. And then you can come up with a number down here in the bottom. Put here what your rate of return will be. Maybe you can get 14%. And then you can put how much you want to contribute each month. And then that down there will tell you what you need to contribute. At any rate, there's a few assumptions built into this calculator. It is definitely aimed to overestimate the cost. If you want to get a much more accurate cost, work with a financial advisor or tax professional. These folks can also open up the 529 or the ESA for you. They can help you invest it. Um, but this calculator will help give you an idea. Um, but the short takeaway is if your kids are, age 2, 3, or 4 years old, and this year is 2015, you're looking at $250,000, $250,000 for their college degree. And that's just their undergraduate. Who knows if they'll go to graduate school or further. But college costs are going to be significant. And as parents, we want to do everything we can to get them prepared, but not at the cost of our own retirement. Please, please, please be sure you fund your own retirement first and then worry about your kids' college. All right, here's a few tips and tricks on how you can save money for your kids when they go to college. Okay, number one, the in-state public school is just as good as the big name private or out-of-state school. A lot of those big private institutions spend a lot of money on marketing to make you believe that unless you go to their school and you pay $160,000, $200,000 a year now in 2015, that you won't be anything, that you'll never get the job that you want, blah, blah, blah. And the truth of it is, I have sat in the managers' meetings, and I'll first admit that the counterpoint. I've sat in the managers' meetings where people get all excited about the Harvard MBAs and the MIT graduates and those big names. I've also been on those same meetings where 6 months later, those kids that they hired, trying to figure out what to do with them because they were completely useless for what they hired them for. The job that they wanted to put them in was way too tough for them, and they couldn't handle it. Now, on the other hand, I've also many times been in the meetings, and I will tell you that first meeting where they were all excited about the big name schools, that was in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002. In 2010, 2011, I was in some other managers' meetings, and they were looking at some college resumes and kind of making jokes about the kids that had paid huge money to go to the schools. They were saying, hey, you know what? This person over here went to a public in-state school, spent half of what this other person spent. Who do we think is smarter? So it doesn't always mean that the private school is better. Doesn't always mean that the out-of-state school is better. Besides, after about 2 years in the work environment, no one cares what school you went to. Sometimes they ask what degree you have, but rarely do they ask what school you've been to. The in-state public school, the cheap school, is just as good as the private state school. Don't let your child convince you and convince themselves that it's worth going into 20, 30, 40 years of debt just to go to that other school. Another trick is to pay your kids to fill out scholarship applications. Whether you want to give them $10 for application, $20 for application, 50 or 100, whatever. Make an agreement with them. Say, hey, look, if you fill out 100 scholarship applications, I'll pay you $1,000 or $10,000 or $100. I don't know, whatever it is. But the point is that your child, through their junior and senior year, has no reason to not fill out one scholarship application every week. Maybe make that their summer job. Your only summer job this summer is to fill out scholarship applications, because there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of scholarships available out there. Fill them out. Many of those, all you have to do is fill out your personal information, like your name, address, phone number, email. Some of them, yeah, you're going to have to write an essay for, but write one essay, and that's got to work for several scholarship applications. Point is, get your kids to fill out those scholarship applications. The only thing that can happen to them is that the scholarship application gets turned down. One of the many blessings that my parents had me do was they recognized, especially when my older sister was going through school ahead of me, that a lot of the college classes in the first year or two were the exact same as the high school classes that I had taken, or that I was going to take. So what my parents had me do is, as soon as I finished the final at high school, they'd take me down to the University of Texas, or I think at that time I was old enough to drive myself. I'd drive myself down to the University of Texas and take a placement test. Now, granted, I was a year or two away from even applying to school, But as soon as I finished the class in high school, I'd go down and I'd take the college placement test because it was the exact same test. Now, there's also something called advanced placement classes in high school. You can take an AP exam. Those AP exams are much, much, much harder than the college placement test. So after your child finishes a class in high school, look up and see if the local university or community college offers a placement test, and then go take it. You've already done the study and might as well get the credits. The beauty of this is I entered University of Texas with 68 credits. I was effectively a junior when I started college. Now, many of those did not count towards my degree, but it did allow me to register before a lot of the other kids, but many of them did count towards my degree. And yeah, it saved a lot of money because I didn't have to retake a lot of classes that I'd already taken. Live at home. I know a lot of parents are going to say, I don't want to deny my child the college experience. And I know a lot of kids want to say, I need to have the college experience, but let's also realize the average age to pay off your student loan is 42. So living in a dorm is part of the college experience, but so is 20 years of debt. So live at home, you will survive, you still can have fun. You can also save thousands and thousands of dollars. And don't just look at it as thousands of dollars, look at it as 5 or 10 years of debt that you don't have to pay. Take as many community college courses as possible. I read an article, actually a number of articles several months ago, that a lot of the big name universities are freaking out because their enrollment is down. And the reason their enrollment is down is because their prices are so ridiculously high that the plan is for most students to graduate high school, they go to the local community college for 2 years, and then they enroll in the big name university. And the big name universities aren't getting the money that they're used to. And the thing is that when you graduate, no one says how many colleges did you go to and which ones did you go to. They say, where did you graduate? And so if you can say it, the public in-state school of your area, that's great. I know and have been in on those discussions where someone graduated from community college, and there is usually someone that says, well, why didn't they go to a big name university? And a lot of times when you ask them that, they'll just say, why would I? I can get the same education for a quarter of a cost at the community college. So while this other person, has the big name school, they're going to be in debt for 20 years. I'm going to be in debt for 2 or 3 years. You tell me which one of us is smarter, which one of us is more capable of living in the real world. So again, take as many community college courses as you can. I remember I took a lot of summer school at Austin Community College, and no one has ever said I'm less of a man because I took some classes at Austin Community College. So take advantage of the less expensive tuitions there. And here's a neat little gem that I discovered when I was at Texas Tech University. I was having trouble making ends meet, so I did that thing, it's called Get a Job. And I wanted a job that would sort of, help my work skills and help my professional skills, maybe even get me some recommendations when I did start to go to school. So I got a job at the Graduate Services Center. And they asked me to work on web pages, and they actually taught me how to build web pages. So a lot of this to say, I got a job working for the university. So I had very low travel. I didn't have to travel. I just got out of class and went around the corner, and I got to go to work. If I had finals coming up, a lot of times my boss said, hey, Brad, I know you got some tests coming up. Forget work today. Just go back in that office back there that nobody uses and study if you want to. So I got to study while getting paid. And then the really cool thing was when I went to pay my tuition, all of a sudden I was getting a discount because I worked for the school. And then I didn't even know it, didn't even have to apply for it, but I got a Pell Grant because I was considered a state employee. So by getting a job working for the University of State, you get lots and lots of benefits, possibly a decreased tuition, possibly qualify for grants and more student aid. a lot of your the bosses and the administrators will be more flexible in your hours. There's just a ton of benefits for getting a job if you work for the university or the state. And then one of the most important ones on here, please do a cost benefit analysis before choosing a major. And specifically, if you're going to change your major, I heard a story of a lady not too long ago. She had $260,000 in college costs, and she was making $35,000 a year. And we said, well, how did you do that? And she said, well, at first I was of this major, then I didn't like that, so I went to this major, and then I went over here and started this degree. And basically, she was 10 to 12 years into college, and just racked up huge amounts of debt. And again, I go back to that question of whose fault is that? Certainly someone along the way should have had the knowledge to tell her, look, you got to stop borrowing this money. You need to go to work. You need to start paying on this debt. Because, this lady was in her 40s, had $250,000 worth of student loans, was making $35,000 a year. She'll never be able to pay it off. Okay? Unless some big miracle happens, she will be in debt for the rest of her life. So please do a cost benefit analysis. Understand what is a likely starting salary for that degree, and also look into the employment rate. Okay, certainly some degrees are in higher demand than others, and there are college kids that are racking up $100,000 in debt, and then they're facing 50% unemployment. And, 1 out of 2 kids actually gets a job. So please take these into account, and I hope that will help your kids or help you with their college experience. Okay, next steps. Do this with your partner. Determine your required rate of return and monthly contribution for each child's college cost. That sounds a whole lot like what I said in the last video about retirement planning, because it's the same thing. Figure out what kind of rate of return you need. Figure out what kind of monthly contribution you need. I thought I had a calculator on there. Well, I think maybe it'll appear here in a little bit. Determine how much to contribute to what type of account. There's the link for the calculator. Update your budget with how much you're going to have to contribute each month. Set up the accounts and/or go hire a financial advisor to open the accounts for you and perhaps even manage those. A CPA may be able to do this as well. And then I strongly encourage you guys to learn to trade for yourself. And when you are able to outperform the financial advisor, then take over more and more of the college costs, college funds, and or your retirement funds. And again, we have trading rooms, real life trading, where you can watch Jeremy Newsom and myself and others trade stocks with our own money. Okay, lots of people in there share what trades they're doing and sometimes even how large their position size is. So be sure you get that done. And then lastly, the takeaways from the Financial Fundamentals series: make all financial decisions together with your partner. You will never be successful unless you are prepared. A big part of being prepared is to have a plan. Be sure you are spending less than you earn. If you're taking out loans for cars, if you're taking out loans and swiping the credit card for dinners and taking out loans for school and all kinds of stuff, you're not spending less than you earn. You're spending more than you earn. No one will ever become financially successful until you spend less than you earn. And then you can retire as soon as you can spend less than your money grows after inflation. So for most of us, that means building up a big giant savings that can grow super fast. But for others, that also means learning how to invest so that you can invest and grow the money even faster. Inflation is out of most of our hands, but we need to be aware of inflation and what it can do to our buying power so that you can grow your money faster than inflation will erode away your buying power. All right, guys, be sure you update your financial mission with your partner and on paper or spreadsheet. Calculate what rate of return you need for your kids' college costs and how much you need to put in each month. Update your budget, set up the accounts, go do it, and then learn how to trade. If you have any questions, email me, brad@reallifetrading.com. I appreciate all of you that have already sent me emails, that whether you're asking questions or just offering support or sharing your examples. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Once again, happy Veterans Day. And as always, trade on logic, not on hope. Have a good one, everyone.